Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first town hall meeting that we are conducting within the Little Rock School District. This is one of 5 town hall meetings. Tonight we are at Little Rock Southwest High. This is being recorded so that you'll be able to share this with others if you happen to be listening to us live tonight. But we also want to make sure that you make plans to potentially attend a town hall meeting. Know that we're seeking your feedback during the course of this time, and so that can come directly in the meeting, which we're at Southwest High tonight. On Tuesday, we will be at West School of Innovation and Pinnacle View Middle School, that combination. Wednesday, we will be at Hall High, Steam Magnet. Thursday, we'll be at Central High, and then the following Tuesday, we will be at Parkview High. So we're going to hit all 5 of our high school campuses so that we really kind of get to all parts of the city. You know, I would be remiss, Ms. Hatter, our board president, always starts with, hello, Little Rock School District, hello, Little Rock, and then hello, beyond, because we know that the city and beyond our school district. So we do welcome you. We do ask for your engagement. For your engagement, beyond just coming to a meeting, know that you can also post, and there are real easy access on our website. We'll come back to that at the end of the meeting, so that you can provide comments, feedback, suggestions, because that's what we're after. So tonight, I want to first off thank our board members that are here in attendance. We have our president, Vicki Hatter, that's here to listen and also hear the questions that are coming from community. We also have Michael Mason, one of our board members that's here. And then we've had several board members that said that they're going to be looking on virtually, and a couple that just couldn't attend because of travel and will be at the next meeting. We also want to thank that we have our contractors here, especially for a project that we're very proud of, the new McClellan replacement. We have our architects that are here to help answer any questions, and these renderings and drawings will be up on our thing. This is from Cromwell. We also have our contractor, Clark. So they're all here to help us. Now, let's set the stage. First off, I have, lucky enough to have Kelsey Bailey with me this evening to help guide us through this presentation. We also have Dr. Keith McKee, our Deputy Superintendent, and Kevin Yarber, our Director of Facilities. So we've got a really good crew here to try to help with everything, and we hope that you'll find this presentation of value. So the thing that we're looking at that I wanted to just share with you is that when you look at the screen right now, you can see that the Little Rock School District Board on the 19th of August, that's when this comes to a head. That's when our board makes a decision whether or not we move forward with an election that would then occur on November 2nd. So the question that we're bringing forward is a package that would be a $300 million package that would refinance, much like refinancing your home, and refinancing at a lower rate, and extending then the amount of time that we pay back that debt. The community as a whole get to make this decision on the 19th, the 2nd, but the board makes the decision on August 19th. As district officials, one of the things you can always check us on, and that we need to make sure that our staff is aware of, is that we cannot advocate. We can simply just share the facts. We can just try to present to you the packages that we're delivering and our thoughts about any recommendations that we've generated this far. Again, we seek input, we seek your questions. The agenda for this evening is very simple. We want to provide just a little bit of historical context. I think you're going to be a little bit surprised about participation on some of our elections. And then second, quick overview on the concept of the millage extension, share our current proposals for projects, and then receive input and address any questions that might be out there for all of you. So the first thing, ballot history. This is kind of one of those things I asked Ms. Smith and her team to generate for me. And it's kind of interesting because if you look at it, we've had 2 times since I've been a part of the Little Rock District where we've tried to seek a debt extension, and we failed. The first time, we only generated approximately 35% of the vote according to the county statistics that were in favor of it. In 2020, that number did jump and improved, but we still ended up failing on it. The time that we were successful goes clear back in. This was really an election in I think it was in November of 1999, if I'm correct, that then led to the 2000 being success of having it all packaged up. But it was for 5 mills, and the amount of votes on that particular election, if I'm correct, was just a little over 2,000 people that participated in that election. Just 2,000 people. But it generated the last time that we had a significant increase in a vote. We want people to be involved. We want people to exercise their right as citizens to weigh in on this matter. And so, again, our election efforts come on the 2nd of November if our board approves it on August 19th. So, Mr. Bailey, I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of cover the element right now of debt service millage extension and just give us a little bit of the factual information about that, if you don't mind.
Good evening. I'm Kelsey Bailey, Chief Deputy Finance and Operations Officer. I try not to get on this side so we can stay kind of in focus. But what we're talking about, Mr. Ford mentioned, it's been over 21 years since we actually had a successful millage pass, and at that time it actually added 5 additional mills. So we had 3 mills that were actually added to our debt service millage rate, which at that time it was 9.4, so it's up to 12.4 now. We also added 2 mills for what's called our dedicated maintenance and operation. One of those mills was dedicated for capital improvement needs, and 1 mill is dedicated for technology upgrades. What we're looking at right now, like you said, is not a tax increase, but it does extend the debt service millage out by 19 years. So all our debt right now is scheduled to pay off in 2033. Considering if we didn't do anything else for our buildings, all our debt would pay off in 2033. But that's not typical for most school districts. You have to keep reinvesting back into the actual facilities. By refinancing, we have a proposal to generate up to $300 million. That money, when we get there, when they actually go out to offer those bonds out there, we have 3 years from the date of actually receiving funds to actually expend those. Our plan is actually to probably do 2 issuance. So we would look at our projects and see what we could accomplish in 3 years, actually issue the first part of that, just say roughly, maybe just say 200 million, then maybe come back with 100 million, but that can be broke up any way we kind of feel as we dig a little bit deeper into those projects. Like I said, these funds can only be used for capital expenditures. We've had some questions in the past, could they be used for salaries or other things? No, they're for our buildings, capital improvement parts. Funds, like I said, have to be expended within 3 years, and we can do multiple bond offerings. I go into this part?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move forward, and I think you can start, and I'm going to jump in and help you.
So one of the things, when the board was in place, we actually, in 2000, I believe it's 2000, either 12 or 13, they tasked us with actually doing a full comprehensive facility strategic plan study. So, I mean, it took about a year to actually do this study. We paid about $1 million for this, and it identified about 300, or maybe a little bit more than $300 million worth of actual needs at that time. Some of those needs have changed a little bit. Of course, that's been quite a while now, 7 years, so we still have several of those needs. So some of the things I'm going to keep rolling as well, some of the things we actually done over the past 12 years, we've produced about $29 million worth of savings for refunding existing debt. So we've taken advantage of the economy where the interest rates were lower, and actually refunded or refinanced some of our outstanding bonds, but it's produced upwards of $29 million so we can put back into our facility. So we've done that. We've pretty much exhausted that avenue now. We also, during a period of time, we've did energy conservation project. It's called performance service contracting. We spent about $12.8 million out there. We picked our biggest energy hogs out there in the district and did a lot of mechanical upgrades and different things. I think right now it's saving approximately about $1 million a year in utility savings, so that was good. So a lot of people would think, I've asked many times, what school do you think was the biggest energy hog? They always say Central, since that's our largest school, but it actually was the elementary school, which was Stevens Elementary.
Can I just jump in on that one? I kind of think that's one we as a district and our staff deserve pretty good credit, because besides the energy conservation, we also improved lighting. Lighting was huge. For one example would be outdoor lighting for all of our parking lots. That was huge. Lighting in our gymnasiums. So this actually is a savings ultimately on down the line.
So that was one of the performance service contract. Basically, you produce enough savings to pay for that actual debt service payment. So all our savings actually go in to pay that that $12.8 million off. The things you see up at the second lien loan, that was our kind of plan B after the 2017 millage extension campaign failed. So we still have the same needs out there. Average age of our building, roughly about 65 plus years. It was 70 years, but we added this new facility in Pinnacle View on there, so it's kind of lowered that a little bit. But we went out there, and it's a long list of things that we actually done with that $93 million. So one of the things was to complete the building we're in now, Southwest High School, a beautiful facility. But we also did things like putting air conditioning in our athletic facilities, in our gym, putting air conditioners in our cafeterias and kitchens. We did a lot of modernization, some roof, catching up on some roofs that were behind. Many different things out there. So the $93 million, it scratched the surface of that $300 million that was identified in 2014, but we still had additional items needed to be addressed. Some things we do want to highlight over this period of time. We were able to build two, I would say 3 new schools now. So we have the Pinnacle View Middle School campus, beautiful facility. We turned in the old leisure arts warehouse into a beautiful middle school. Plus we have the administrative building over there that's currently now Little Rock West School of Innovation. And along with our newest high school here, Little Rock Southwest High School. Anything you want to say on that one, Mr. Poore? Amazing.
Absolutely do. So, you know, the thing about our efforts, first off with, you know, Pinnacle View campus, you know, that was a warehouse, and we actually turned that project around in a year. And I can still remember when we did our open house, Mr. Bailey, that people were walking around and they thought, the parents were asking, am I still in Little Rock School District? I mean, they were being for real, asking, am I really still in Little Rock School District? Because they had no idea that we could have that nice of facility come here. And, you know, there was such a long time that people were saying, we're not going to really go ahead and build it. I hope that what you're hearing and seeing with the packages that we've put together is that we have really used the funds that have been entrusted us, used those resources, and put together really good schools, whether it's first off at Pinnacle, but now here at Southwest. And then I think that we've really impacted our learning environments in terms of getting better situations all over our district. Some of it's even simple things, having air conditioning in our cafeterias, which I know that's an area that you oversee, or improving our security by having all new security cameras in all of our secondaries. So we squeezed hard with those resources that we got off of the second lien loan, and I think it really it shows in a variety of different ways that I think both of us are proud of, but we hope our community's proud of this. If you haven't been to Southwest, you will find pride. We hear people from all over our state and our nation talking about it, and we kind of want to do the same thing, don't we, with some of our next projects.
And the amazing part about this slide as well, it shows that we only received about $93 million. Those projects that you're looking up there, they total upwards of $160 million when we add all the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So this has done well to utilize the money we had available from our general operations, from some of our fund balance in the past, so to actually, you know, to get to the point we are right now. Some of the facility realities that we have to look at, like I said, the average age of our building is about 65 years old. So when you get something 65 years old, you have some of those things that start breaking down that you may not even see. So you have the plumbing, you have the electrical, you have the mechanical stuff. So our buildings actually weren't 65 years ago, they weren't built for the type of learning environments we're trying to implement today. So we do have a lot of upgrades.
And if you look at it, just if you own a house that's 65 plus years old, you think of the investments that you have to continue to make in order to make that house stay, you know, a positive place for you to live. So that's what we have within our district. We have to continue to reinvest in some of our facilities.
That's correct. Some of the things that may not be, you know, as Mr. Poore would say, sexy, the roofs and things like that, but we've got as much age out of our roofs as we can. It's time to start replacing those. We've identified some of those, and on the following slide, you will see some of our projected projects. So we also have specialty classroom. I'm going to pitch that one to you. I think that was a good one for you to talk about this bid.
Our specialty classroom renovations that we've done, you know, we've really tried to do a variety of different things that enhance learning for our special needs populations. Here at Southwest, I know that Mr. Burton, you know, who helped design this school, was very intentional about placement of where our SPED programs were, especially where there needed to be kind of the pull-out type program, but also things that really help young people with their transitions. And so that was very thoughtful. We want to do some of those same things in some of our other facilities. We also know that we would like to improve even playground equipment in some of our campuses, especially for those learners that have maybe some sort of challenges.
What about the Excel program at NGL, the classroom?
Yeah,
Are classrooms suitable right now for all those programs?
You know, we're so excited about that all of our high schools are moving towards Ford, next generation, the career academies of Central Arkansas, where every high school is working to, help students create their preferred future. Notice I said their preferred future, and in a pathway that lets them get into the medical community or into engineering, or lets them get into fields of education even. And with that, we've got business entities that want to support, but we also have to kind of come up with some ways to enhance our own facilities to make it so that our kids can move forward on some of the career tech programs. And the other thing is, if you look at it, and we're going to go into the examples here in just a minute, but let's call out Parkview right now, because we know we have a lot of parents that are interested in that campus. Parkview is our arts and science magnet. They deserve an auditorium and facilities that pop and are the most exceptional spaces for performing arts in our entire district. You can't say that right now, just to be honest. You can say we've got great teachers, you can say we've got great kids in those programs, but we want to enhance their experience to then again prepare them for their preferred future.
That's right.
This is the big list, isn't it?
That's
so,
it.
This list, I'm going to push you aside and start a little bit. That when you look at this list has to start with McClellan. Okay, it has to start in the Southwest. That is our commitment. And again, when we were looking at building the campus here at Southwest, there were a lot of folks that said it's not going to happen. Yet we had a big, huge ceremony where 100 people dug dirt, and we kicked off the event. And then we had our topping off ceremony, and then we had tours throughout it, just to build up excitement and belief that we were really going to do that. We want that same energy to happen at the new McClellan. Now, the exciting thing to me about this is that if this is passed in November, we're turning dirt by January 1 in theory.
Maybe December.
Maybe December. Okay, so I don't want to get Christmas like on my wish list and have it taken away.
Got 'em nervous.
That's what I want. I want to see some dirt dug, and I want us to see a new McClellan emerge for our kids in the Southwest. And we need that form and have it. It's a K-8 design. We have a really good design again from the Cromwell team. These will be put up on our website so that you'll be able to see it. And there'll be some depth in terms of looking at the project plan so that you can dive deeper into this. And of course, if you come to the sessions, we're going to be here to be able to answer and address questions about everything from how the parking will flow, where the gymnasiums are, where common spaces are, what are we going to do for special needs children there, what are some of the career type programs that will be available on this campus. But we're very excited about this because it sets another stage of commitment here in the Southwest. It's the #1 priority. That's why we have that right at the very top. Right behind it is, you can see that we are going to talk about each one of these if that's okay. Then right behind it is security cameras and getting that set up for our elementary. We've got to do everything we can to make sure that our families are secure and feeling good about things, improving the lighting, simple again of what this building represents in terms of lighting here at Southwest, what the building at Pinnacle View, those things should be available for all of our kids. So we can do so much good of putting in LED lighting all over. So that's a commitment. Window replacement. I know Miss Alice Kuntz is probably out there from Dunbar. She sent some sort of text to me today of saying something about Dunbar. That's a priority for us, isn't it?
It is.
And we know we've got to do a couple things at that campus. You want to share?
So typically waterproofing windows is a big part. So windows are actually essential. We have some other window projects out there. So I know that was one of the things that was mentioned. We had a board work session, I think about 3 weeks ago or so, and we identified some of these. And just when you're looking at this project list, all the numbers around here, these are estimates based on, just ballpark estimates right now, based on, I won't say ballpark, but we put some thought behind it, but not knowing until we go out to bid what they're actually going to come back. So some of them may come back less, right now everything is kind of escalated its price. Hopefully they will come back less. The market gets better. Some may come back a little bit more, but
A good example of that
Yeah.
is McClellan again,
Yeah.
in that, you know, when we first went out to thinking about it, and this was clear back in 2017, you know, we really were looking at an estimated project cost of somewhere between 55 and 60 million dollars. And now that cost, because of materials, because of workforce, all those type of factors, we're now looking again at a cost of approximately 85 million dollars. So things have got more expensive, but on the other end, it's also a good time to seek a loan for refinance.
That's right. Interest rates are most favorable right now. I think we have some handouts out front. I'm not sure if we'll put it on the screen, but we have a true interest cost estimated of 3.3. Talked to our financial advisor today. I think his last sale, it was in maybe 2.7, and that was actually a little bit higher than in the past. So we still have a good little ways to get up to the 3.3 that we have projected.
You look at the high school renovations that are proposed, a lot of these things are things that fit into, again, the Fort NGL type component of, you know, again, we talk about Parkview. Let's make that a fine arts magnet that's extraordinary. We know that Hall has needs but in a very special part of that 700 wing that needs to be upgraded to handle engineering. And you look at Central with field house and auditorium. So all these projects are listed out for you, everyone to see. We're trying to put them out in front of you. Roof replacements, an extensive list. Mr. Bailey, I think it's important for everybody to say these are our 10 most challenging roofs, the roofs that are the absolute worst. There may be somebody out in the public says, well, how come? As of today.
Or yesterday.
and that there probably might be someone that challenges a little bit. We want that. You know, if you have something to say, what about if we have a roof situation, please present that to us, because, you know, we have the data, but you may challenge our thinking in terms of prioritization. So you can see the roof projects that we have. Again, a classic example of Dunbar. We've done a lot of work on that Dunbar campus. I can remember that we had community my first 2 or 3 months saying it floods in the basement every single time it rains. We have handled that. We've improved the outside part of that facility in terms of how it looks in the front. But we have so much more work to do, because the roof still leaks, and the roof has been patchwork over really a span of time that probably goes back at least 30 years of patchworking.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, the roof is 2002 right now, so
So just to share what our director of facilities said, is that really it was a short-term solution in 2002 of just putting a membrane over it instead of really doing the work the appropriate way and do the roof the right way. We want to do it the right way in Little Rock. We want to do it the right way so we don't have to come back 5 years or 10 years from now. We've got to go do quality work. And again, I hope we've kind of created a blueprint of what we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years in the team that, you know, I've got to work with, that shows that we are in fact doing the right work. You can see we have bleacher replacements down, HVAC that we've got to work at, and then playground equipment, which we've talked about. Probably one of the bigger topics on here, and we have it in a yellow color, is a new high school out at Little Rock West. A part of that package elevated when our board made a decision to say that we should go for the $300 million. Now, the board still has final authority. Board wants input. Board is going to hear from us as administrators too with our input, but this particular campus, if you look at it, even with back to the Pinnacle View days, that initially we thought we were going to lose students in the inner part of our city with Henderson and Pulaski Heights Middle School. And in fact, we did lose some students the first 2 years. But since that time, all schools' attendance has risen. The other thing is that we have a large number of students that are leaving us from Pinnacle and going towards other campuses beyond the Little Rock School District, and that's 50 to 100. We know that we're getting in about 70 or 80 students per year in terms of the Little Rock West High School, but we think that we can amp that number up by another 100 or so folks, have 200 to 250. And if we were to build a campus there, it's complex, and one of the things that fits in really well with what Mr. Bailey said of this is an estimate, because we have not paid for a Cromwell or any other architect yet to scope out the project. This is our best guess, given kind of the history, given the dynamics of the complexity of this particular project. But we do think this is a chance for bringing in some enrollment growth. It is one of the largest areas of growth in our city. If you look back at Roberts, you look at Pinnacle View, each one of those campuses filled up much quicker than any administrator in any portion of our time ever could have anticipated. And I think it would be the same out at the West campus if we build that. Any comments on that?
I think you're spot on. So that project is 3 to 4 years at least, I think, going through doing appropriate planning and programming, similar to what we did here to make sure we build what is actually needed and wanted in that area.
So it's a really good point too. Like if somebody thinks, well, we're going to put West High in front of McClellan, that's not even close to reality. First off, I've said it over and over and over since I've arrived. Then after we build our Southwest, the next thing is to deal with McClellan. That's our number one priority, to go do that right. Second, in order to build West High School, that's going to take some time. We've got to work with the architects, have a collaborative approach with all sorts of people to pitch in with the design, just like we did here at Southwest. Mr. Burton did an amazing job with that. So much input. We'd want the same thing to occur at West School of Innovation. So that's going to take some time, and that really fits in a little bit with where you were talking about of bonds maybe being sold at 2 different times.
That's
you want
correct.
to add into that?
As we kind of get through these projects and plans, so we, like even on the roof projects, we have 10 roofs out there, and we have all these other things, the window products. We know we can't disrupt the learning environment that much in any given year. So we have to stage that out so it's not disruptive to, the learning environment, because the first part is for our kids to be achieving and learning. So we'll kind of have to stage those things out and kind of plan them out over the next 3 years if this is approved. So based on that, we'll get an estimate, and that'll be the amount of bonds we sell, probably with a little bit of cushion out there then. So we decided, like I said, if it's $200 million that we can do in that 3 years, we'd do $200 million first, and then we could come back a year later or 2 years later and actually do that. So what goes on here, we have authorization up to $300 million at that time to actually sell.
And a final list of things, we've got a variety of things that really revolve around enhancing and dealing with some things that probably need to be done over a period of time. Flooring replacement, we actually enhance the health of our buildings if we can do some things with floors, and you've really helped me understand that. Can you share that with our public?
Yeah, something I want to get away from is the waxing and scraping the floor and get to something where they can just scrub and clean it. So that takes a lot of time. We got to get to a point where we're working a little bit smarter. We're going to work harder as well. So sometimes we say we work smarter and not harder, but we do both of them here. So this allows us not to waste time on stripping and waxing, and the floors look so much better. So as we go through there, we know we have a lot of exterior and interior paint things to look. This is the pretty stuff. So if you open up a new Chick-fil-A, you've been eating at Chick-fil-A for, just say, 10 years. But the new one is going to have a line wrap. All of them have a line wrapped around, but it's going to be super long. But this is the same thing. We want to make sure our buildings are appealing when, new people drive up to them, or people move into the city. We want to make sure the outside is appealing. When they walk through the front door, everything is in order. Landscaping is another big part as well. So if you go out and look at outside here, the landscaping is beautiful, the outside is beautiful. We want all our buildings to look like that. So the part on there that's highlighted, the other part was the classroom expansions. We have a lot of portables at many of our schools out there. So we have a plan to actually start removing some of those portables. So it's an amount out there, and that has to be fleshed out a little bit more based on current enrollment of the school and amount of portables out there and looking.
And we have removed some portables already. We
have
removed some within our district. Probably, I've taken a stab at this. I probably should know better, but I think it's approximately about 15 to 20 portables.
Go down a little bit more.
Maybe a little less. Okay.
Maybe 10.
So I'm disappointed. So we got to do more there. But we do know we've got to work on that. And of course, one of the things that really isn't a part of this, if you ask, and we'll just bring it up, is we really aren't necessarily addressing the portable issue at Central, because that's a much more complex problem, a much bigger dollar total. If we were to just dive into Central and say we want to fix that in total, you'd really take over every bit of the dollars that we're talking about here. You'd exceed $200 million pretty quickly. So Central is going to have some phased work. You can see what we're proposing for Central. Again, the priority of getting the campus at McClellan, and then doing these other projects, and also getting the West campus done.
And the biggest part up there, if you look at the very top, it says Little Rock Debt Service Millage Extension proposed projects in this draft. So this is a draft, so we want your feedback on any other projects or projects you see that we may need to alter or look at. So the board met, these are some of the carryovers from the previous campaigns we had, along with the work session and what we've gotten from administrators and different people around the district. But this is a draft, so we want to make sure we have something before you that you have input on. So, and that's why I think we're meeting tonight as well, so make sure we get input.
Exactly, and if we go to the next slide, it really then starts to move us towards seeking any questions or input that someone wants to deliver for us this evening. And we're wide open. We do have a mic up here. I'll be honest with you, just anybody's out listening, our crowd is pretty small tonight, but I have had several people text me saying they're having some sound issues, so at least I know that we've got people listening, and hopefully we adjusted that as the presentation went on. But if you have a question here that you'd like to bring forward, Mr. Mason?
Superintendent Poore, I think you passed over a little bit before we talked about West Little Rock. There was the HVAC stuff. Let's go back to the HVAC. It's $12 million. I think you need to expound on the ventilation, the current issues that we're going through right now. You might want to talk about putting the fresh air in and pulling that old air out.
Thank you, and that just was an oversight on I think Mr. Bailey and I, that's why we have board members to keep us straight. So thank you very much. I'll start that, again, when you're looking at facilities that are an average age of 60 years or beyond, there's a lot of things that we could tackle. What we've done through a study, and I'll let Mr. Bailey go into a little more detail, through a study is we've determined, again, what are our most significant buildings that have issues. Mr. Bailey?
You covered it. I think this was Director Mason actually called us on this during our work session. So what we have two pots of money. We have something called ARPS or ESSER 2. So we actually have, right now, I think projected maybe $4.3 million of projects for fresh air, replacing those fresh air units at various schools. Actually have budgeted about $10 million out of ARPS. So this would actually kind of complete some of those projects out there, some of those mechanical pieces that may not just be fresh air units, but actually may just need to be mechanical upgrades out there. So there's quite a bit that we need to do out there. Our buildings, like I said, they're on here 65 years old, so they're not ready to accept MERV 13s or those bigger filters out there. So we do want to reintroduce fresh air. So even if COVID wasn't here, fresh air has proven to produce better conducive environment for learning, along with the LED lights we talked about as well. So many studies that talked about the lighting levels along with the fresh air actually is turnover in the room. So, any other questions? Are we having any online as well? Are they able to submit questions online? None? Okay.
Okay, we will wrap up this evening. I want to remind everyone that we are going to reconvene again next week. We actually have 3 times. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there'll be town hall meetings. Tuesday, again, is at West High School or Pinnacle View, that combo. We'll have signage out in front of the building to get you into the right spot. Wednesday, we head to Hall High School. And then Thursday, we will be at Central High School.
We'll talk about Monday as well.
And then the following Monday, we go towards Parkview. So we've got, 4 more of these events. We'll continue to push them out. You can give your input to the website as well. So even if you don't end up wanting to come physically to a meeting, even if you look at this over the weekend as a part of your review of our website and find this, then shoot your questions or your comments to us, and we promise to honor those in these meetings and bring some of those things up that we've learned. We can even add a slide to that effect.
One more for our contact information to be up on the screen again.
Thank you. This would be the other way that Mr. Bailey and I would be more than welcome to receive your input through a phone call, an email, Typically, for me anyway, an email really helps, and then if you say, hey, I would like to talk to you, then I can engineer that with my assistant.
Same with me. Just feel free to reach out to me. You have my direct number or email there, so shoot us an email. Make sure you're communicating with us. We want to make sure we have the most accurate list up there. We can take in consideration anything that you want to see happen in our school district.
And we thank everybody for listening tonight that are out there watching this virtually or watching it over the weekend. I want to thank the crew that did come in here tonight for their involvement and interest. And you remember, this is just a stepping stone. We've got a long ways to go. But remember, we're headed towards August 19th is where our board has to make a decision. So input's needed now, and then we look at the 19th of making our decision. And of course, the big thing is we get to go, hopefully, if the board votes in favor of moving forward, we're looking at November 2nd for our election. Thanks, everybody, and have a great evening.